Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is I, the King of Champs, the belt-taking, back-breaking, soul-shaking, C-H-A-M-P of the D, Joseph Stones, and my guest, our intern Casey, and Paul over there that also works with us. How are we doing today? We have the non-MCU Marvel movies going out for Movie Madness, folks. It's going to be fantastic. Look at that. Ooh, look at that, guys. Oh, I'm feeling fantastic today. How are you feeling over there, Gary? How's your neck there, pal? Huh? How you doing? It doesn't matter how you're feeling, because we got a show to do, okay? This isn't a medical place. This isn't Well Now. This is Movie Madness. And it gets crazy up in here.
Yeah, I know. All right.
Why don't you shout out our sponsors? Do something worthwhile.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank Seasonal Sports, where we have merch. So please visit their store, Dippin' Donuts.
Get your D-Squad shirts, guys.
Delicious food and coffee. Hit them up. And obviously, if you want ink, you want piercings, go to Rockin Horse in New Hartford. Hit them up. All right? Now, before we get to the list, the Marvel, not MCU.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we talk about the two big movie things that are happening. One, Ghostbusters Afterlife comes out this week. Which
ooh, got my tickets for tomorrow.
Insanely excited about. And two, that I don't even know how to describe how I feel about the awesomeness that was the Spiderman trailer
honestly,
that dropped yesterday.
Like I hardly ever agree with anything that comes out of your mouth, but that is something like it. I am very excited, and like the hype around this movie, which kind of scares me a little bit because there is so much hype around this movie.
Yeah, I hate hype trains,
and like everybody has such high expectations now that, and I try not to. I try to come in with an open mind, but it's hard not to come in an open mind with this. You saw all the villains. You did not see Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, but
they're there. They're there. I'm holding out hope. They're there.
We'll see.
I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
We know Casey wants to see some Garfield.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and like
I mean, so do I.
When Doc Ock goes, "You're not Peter."
You know what they're leading to. You know what they're leading to.
Yeah, like it.
They have to be there. They have to. So, but all right, you know what? Let's jump right in. Everything that's non-MCUs. Now, to be clear, also, we had Venom on this list until recently, and we took it off.
Because
now Venom may get lost, but let's be honest, it's not like it was going to win on the MCU list. Okay, it was a good movie.
Right.
Okay, but it wasn't going to win. So plus there wasn't room for it. Anyways, all right. So we're going to actually start off with Fantastic Four versus the first X-Men.
X-Men 2000. I mean, Fantastic Four.
Take it away.
First off, the casting of Fantastic Four always kind of threw me off a little bit. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba is not Sue Storm.
Right.
And the Thing, it looks like a Halloween costume. Even though I think Michael Chiklis would have been an awesome Ben Grimm, especially for that time. It still had like the cheese factor that a lot of comic book, like almost like how Steel, who remembers Shaquille O'Neal Steel, like it had that like cheese, like that Batman and Robin cheese factor to it, like, and I don't know, I've seen it a couple times, and like it's a fun movie you don't have to pay attention to, but X-Men, where Blade brought comic book movies into the spotlight, X-Men is what cemented them in the spotlight. And trust me, especially in retrospect, there's a lot wrong with this movie, but there's a lot right with this movie. And it did what the MCU does, where it kind of created its own origin for the X-Men. It made Hugh Jackman's career, really, and it It's a fun, rewatchable movie that I think, for the most part, captures the essence of what the X-Men should be. So my vote will be for X-Men.
I see. It's a tough one for me because I grew up. I think one of the first superhero movies I saw in theaters was, I think it was Fantastic Four, if I'm not mistaken.
So your parents abused you.
Well, I mean, you can take it as you will. But it's got a special place in my heart, especially because, obviously now I'd say my favorite hero is Spider-Man or Doctor Strange. But back then, Johnny Storm was like my literal favorite hero. So that all being said, I would give my vote to X-Men. I think X-Men's a better movie. But as for rewatchability for me, I feel like I have more of an enjoyable time watching Fantastic Four, but I'd give it to X-Men for this.
Yeah.
Where would you have gone?
I definitely would have gone X-Men as well. I definitely agree with the cheese factor. I think it was the last of the superhero movies that had a lot of this and two had a. It was like the last remaining cheese left on superhero stuff, to where everything else started coming with an air of believability and reality to it. Right. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Okay.
So I would have gone with that. So now I have Daredevil. I specifically put the director's cut on here because it actually made it an R-rated movie. I don't know if anyone ever actually saw it. Did you ever see the director's cut?
I did not see the director's cut.
I have, yes.
Okay, so it is far better. Okay, it still has a lot of cheese in it. Obviously with that playground fight that they Electro have, I still felt like, he brought it as Matt Murdock. I liked him as it. I thought it was a good movie. Could have been way better. Obviously, that's why it never got a sequel. It got a spinoff, not a sequel. So
I always thought Jennifer Gardner as Electro was grossly miscast. I think she's a great actress, but for that role of a Greek martial artist turned assassin, Jennifer Gardner, who wakes up at 5 a.m. to bake bread with her children, she just comes across as that in any role she does. She is this very girl next door.
She's just too nice.
Right. And I was never a big fan of Colin Farrell as Bullseye. I didn't he came off as a cocky dick, not as this psychopath that wants to just shoot everybody.
Right.
He knows he's good, so he's gonna do that. And Ben Affleck as Daredevil was okay. I thought they Batmaned up Daredevil quite a bit, with his hyperbaric chamber and all that stuff. Favreau as Foggy Nelson I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
You have a Kevin Smith cameo in the movie, which is great. But then you have Spider-Man. For everything that is, I love Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. He really embodies the essence of that 60s Peter Parker. His Spider-Man is where I had issues with because he didn't move how Spider-Man was supposed to move. But I felt like his essence of Spider-Man, and especially in this movie, William Dafoe is Green Goblin, and even though he wasn't what we saw in the comics as, it was more of an Iron Man-esque suit or whatever, William Dafoe steals that movie.
He steals anything.
He does.
He's in.
And
we've seen Boondock Saints.
Oh my God! He
steals anything.
He steals the movie so much, in fact, that I guarantee the whole reason they're doing the multiverse is just to bring Dafoe back and Alfred Molina back also. But Dafoe steals it. You have to go Spider-Man. Kristen Dunst as Mary Jane. All that. It's especially for the time such a well cast, well done movie for that time. You have the Upside Down Kiss. Is iconic and been redone a million times.
Yeah.
And
it's still talked about.
And
a lot.
so for me, it's Spider-Man without a doubt.
Yeah, for me, I think you both know where I'm gonna go with this, but what I will say to make my point here is that whereas I've watched Spider-Man probably every Spider-Man movie at least 3 times a year. The last time I watched Daredevil, like of my own doing.
How's your social life?
Well, that's up for debate.
Explains the unsanctioned haircut.
It was. I'm telling you, it was sanctioned.
I didn't get
By
a vote
me.
in that.
Last time I watched Daredevil of my own doing was me choosing to go and rent the movie on DVD from my local Blockbuster back in like 2008. So
Right.
like,
Wow.
I mean, where do you think I would land on this? My vote is to Spider-Man.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. It is. It is obvious. So yeah. So Spider-Man obviously is gonna move up. No problem there. Which is actually gonna then. What do we got next? I can't quite.
It
see.
looks like Blade Trinity versus the Wolverine.
Okay.
I love Blade Trinity.
I can't stand Blade Trinity.
I think, like, Ryan Reynolds' performance in this movie is...
Oh, he's fantastic.
It's the beginning of, like, this is literally the precursor to Deadpool.
when is Ryan Reynolds not fantastic in a movie though?
I absolutely agree, but I think this is what, in fandom's eyes, like, oh, he can be Deadpool.
Right.
And, like, Triple H is in it. You had Dracula.
Yeah.
Like, you set up a lot of stuff. Whistler actually dying. Like, it's a fun movie to watch.
That's where I had the problem, as I feel like it's like Whistler died at the end of the first one, and he came back in the second one, and then he died in the third one. It's like, and there wasn't enough emphasis on Blade actually himself, and there was more on the Night Stalkers. So
Well, I know there's a lot of
Blade-
rewrites with that movie because
Right.
Wesley Snipes went kind of crazy, made everybody refer to him as Blade, wouldn't interact with the other actors, and like literally, if you watch that movie, there's a lot of scenes where Wesley Snipes by himself, and then it cuts to somebody else, and a lot of that was shot. Like they weren't together when it
Right.
was shot.
Right.
I just the concept of this movie I just really enjoy, and there's a line Ryan Reynolds has in it, and I'm not going to repeat it completely because we have children that watch, and I'm all about my fans, but it's another word for a rooster, juggling, thunder. See you next Tuesday.
Right.
And for the last 20 years, that insult has stuck in my mind as one of the single greatest insults
Right.
that has ever been uttered.
Right.
And just like I just in the plot of that movie, I like better than the original Blade. Even though I think I like the original Blade better, I like the plot. The whole like Dracula's coming back, the dealing with daywalkers, like, and now there's these kids that Blade doesn't want to work with, but is forced to work with. The vampire is smartening up and making Blade a bad guy, like in the public's eyes, making it harder for him to operate. I like the plot and everything, but the Wolverine made up for X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Right.
And even though there were good parts of X-Men Origins Wolverine,
The whole first half of X-Men Origins Wolverine is great.
like
And then
Liv
right
Schreiber,
around-
Liv
right
Schreiber
around
is fantastic.
the boxing match is when the movie turns terrible.
Uh,
It's
I felt like when he when he became a Canadian logger is when it kind of went downhill for me, but this is the Wolverine, and I
Yeah.
love
Right.
the whole Japanese and like things that happen in this movie actually play out in later movies like Days in the Future Past. The ending of the Wolverine plays out in Days of the Future Past. How she sees how Wolverine dies
Yep.
actually is how he dies in Logan. Like, the only issue I had with the Wolverine is how they treated the Silver Samurai. That was
Right.
my only issue with that whole movie. And then there's actually a deleted scene from the Wolverine, which I wish they would have kept in, was when he opens up his gift from the girl,
yeah.
and it's his yellow costume.
oh right.
And I love this movie. I thought it was fantastic. Like in the beginning, he's a bum in the woods, just trying to stay away from everybody because of the events that happen in X-Men 3. Like it
Right.
just, he's haunted by killing Jean Grey. Like it. So my vote will be for the Wolverine.
Yeah.
I'd go Wolverine hands down.
I would
what about
also
you?
go Wolverine just on the sole fact that I've never seen Blade Trinity. So
You're fine. Trust me, you're fine.
Honestly, I think you should
concept
enjoy it.
of Blade Trinity is better, but I feel like it would have served better almost as Blade 4.
Yeah.
Or if you called it Blade and the Night Stalkers.
Have we
know what I
all
mean?
well at least heard about the after credits of Eternals here? Or should I
have.
not bring that up?
I heard about the after credits. Yes, I haven't seen it. You saw it, didn't you?
I saw it. Yeah.
Okay, so then we know what they're leading up to.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah,
where
that's
you
why
hear what's his face's voice
Yep.
say something to.
Yeah. So I mean,
Kit
that's
Harington.
where I'm more excited for that version of Blade, but that's just because I love Mahershala Ali. He's a great actor.
So then we have the 2004 version of Punisher, the one with Tom Jane as the Punisher versus Blade 2.
This is easy for me, Blade 2.
Really?
Yes.
How did you feel about
I
that
enjoyed the Thomas Jane Punisher. I felt like it's a watered down version of the Punisher. I feel like they definitely pulled some punches with it. They included the Russian, which I thought was a great thing by Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. I felt like they tried to create a family for the Punisher, which is something the Punisher really doesn't have.
Right.
And like they tried to make a love story with him and Rebecca Romijn. He was getting revenge on one person, and like it was avenging his family, all that stuff. But I felt like it was, you didn't have to call him Frank Castle. It could have been any revenge story kind of thing.
Right.
And I think Warzone's a far, far, far superior Punisher movie.
It's an action movie, cream dream, really.
And where Blade 2 is probably my favorite out of all of the 3 Blade movies. I felt like the execution of it was fantastic, having him work with the vampires overseas, because there's a mutated version of the vampires, which the special effects were just outstanding.
So good.
And Blade 2, like everything that was good about Blade 1, it did better.
Yeah,
it took out like most of the love story aspect stuff, and like, listen, we're military vampires that are here. We're the SWAT team of the vampires. All right, you're Blade. We hate each other, but we got to get this job done, and it's just nonstop, just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I particularly love the specialized team that was built to take him out. That he then had to work with.
Ron Perlman, like it, and Norman Reedus is in it. Like,
I like in the first Blade there was a lot of science to it, but obviously they were also talking about like the vampire god, and then this one was like pure science, where like they meddled with their own genealogy and created this, and this is what happens. And then I mean the end fight with him was great, but then how he goes out himself, the way he, it's like, you're right. I don't actually want to exist, and and pushes it for, like, it was really, really well done sequel, I thought. So
absolutely.
So I would think I would also personally go Blade 2 the more I talk about it, because at first when I saw it up there, I was like, oh man, I really like this Punisher movie, but then I'm like, wait, no, I love Blade 2. So what about you, Casey? Where were you?
I have only seen The Punisher here.
Okay.
It's one of my uncle's favorite movies, so he always puts it on at family gatherings and things like that. When it comes to Blade 2, I always hear very positive things about it.
Yeah,
so
you gotta watch it.
I definitely have to check that one out. But I'd end up going with Blade 2, but I think that's solely just on the fact that I'm more, when it comes to like me being a fan of The Punisher, I'm more of a fan of the season 1 of the Netflix show.
Right.
I love what he's doing with that character, and I hope they bring him back.
But they really need to.
Rumor has it they're all coming back.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, season 2 season 2 of that show. I'm the black sheep of my family. I do not like season 2 of that show at
So
all.
I didn't even watch
like them
season
both.
2
I like them
because
both.
after the Defenders,
Yeah.
then when everything was quote unquote like ending with all of it, I was like, what's kind of the point of watching it?
No, yeah.
Luke Cage season 2 is awesome too.
Yeah. Well, I think I watched Luke. I might have watched Luke Cage season 2. But as more came out
Yeah.
like because
Right.
as the last couple like the second season of Jessica and the second season
Yeah,
of
they
Punisher,
were canceling things like 3
Yeah.
days after they premiered.
yeah, and it was like I was like, okay, so then why do I even need to start this? If
Right.
there's no continuity in it,
Which bothered me
anymore.
too, because Iron Fist, like, the first season was garbage, but the second season really came into its own.
Oh yeah,
And they set up what was going to be the third season, and it
and then
sucked.
nothing.
Yeah, it's upsetting, but yeah, I would. But yeah, I'd go with Blade 2 for this one.
Yeah. So okay, so now while we're speaking about it, now we have Punisher Warzone up on top on the right side, going against the Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah. Now
Punisher Warzone for me.
the most hands down the most action filled Punisher movie.
It is 100% what the Punisher is.
You know,
Like, there's,
it's pure action, less story. There's like there's less story in it than like half of
The plot
like, the
is he's
04
the
one, you know what I mean?
The plot is he's the Punisher and he has to kill gangsters.
Yeah, it's I mean
And you have microchip in it, like
yeah,
you
there's-
like.
every time he shoots somebody, like their face just explodes. It's amazing. Like he really just. He doesn't just kill these guys, like he murderizes these guys. You know what I mean?
But
Like he really gets into it. I thought he was a fantastic Punisher, but more of the script, the plot, that everything drove it more than his performance. I actually would have preferred him to be cast as. I mean, I know he was also in the Thor movies. I would have preferred him to be Cable. I thought
He would have been great, Cable.
I thought he would have made a perfect Cable. Like, don't get me wrong, Josh Brolin getting all jacked up, but I just feel like why is his name escaping me? The guy who played Punisher and
Ray Stevenson.
Ray Stevenson, thank you. Ray Stevenson, you get like the slightly gray hair.
No, he'd be perfect.
You know, like have him just work out like a little bit more. He would have been perfect.
Yeah, but
On the other hand, I feel like Casey's about to pounce on me about
well,
about the
like for me,
Amazing Spider-Man here.
I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 is better than the original.
And I would agree with you on that.
I like.
But I think Punisher
Amazing-
Warzone is better than Amazing Spider-Man.
See, for me, it depends what you're in the mood for that. Like when you're going to watch these movies, because if
good
you're
point.
looking for Punisher Warzone, you're probably in the mood for just like some crazy action scenes. Whereas
Slightly mindless action. I mean,
yeah,
let's be honest.
Whereas like Spider-Man, I feel like it's just the story there. I love it. I think that's a better origin story than the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man origin story, in my opinion.
See, I agree with you there, but
Yeah.
like the villain of Amazing Spider-Man just left it lacking. Like the Lizard is not
Lizard is not a great villain, and I will agree.
not
with
a
that.
great not a great villain at all, and it leaves you like oh this was an okay movie, but like the Lizard being controlled by Norman Osborn like is more of a better reach for me. Like the plot, like it was a good origin story, but the plot itself, it's the movie was like, yeah, this is okay. Like I can't wait to see what they do in the next one. Where Punisher Warzone, like you sat there after like Frank Castle, baby, like that. This is what I came to see, and it delivered on everything.
I don't know.
And you want like the villains, like you wanted them to die. Like, and that's how you know, in my opinion, when someone plays a role really well. Like when within an hour and a half to 2 hours or more, when you really want someone to get axed in the movie, like then that actor is really doing their job. You know what I mean? And they all did it so well. Like all the main villains,
Right.
you know, that group of guys,
The gangsters.
you wanted them
Yeah.
to really die. You know what I mean? So,
It's Warzone for me.
I'll save my big spiel for Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I would go with Amazing Spider-Man.
yeah, so I'm going to go Warzone.
Oh my God.
We will probably have a different conversation.
my
I mean,
God.
Spider-Man Amazing Spider-Man 2, we're probably going to have
It's
a
next.
far different conversation. Definitely going to have
I can't believe I have to get up and cross out Amazing Spider-Man right now. This is like killing me. Oh my gosh.
But hey, listen. Now we have Amazing Spider-Man 2 versus Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Can I, if you can you just make me really large on the screen for one moment? I need to say something here, okay? This is...
Go ahead.
Listen
You're up.
to me. Listen to me right now. Look at me, okay? For years, ever since I saw the movie in 2014, I saw it almost 6 times. I think actually 6 times in theaters. Listen to me. This movie is so much better than what people say about this movie. If you go into it negative like everybody does, you're not going to like this movie. This is the most comic accurate Spider-Man we have ever gotten on screen. This is the best chemistry between Spider-Man and a love interest in any of the movies. The music in this movie is phenomenal. The action scenes, this is the best CGI you've ever seen in any Spider-Man movie. He's slinging through the air. His suit's rippling in the air. It looks like it's probably some of the best swinging scenes we've ever gotten. This movie is perfection.
So Casey's a swinger.
It's the best Spider-Man movie, in my opinion. And I think if you go into it negative like a lot of people do, you're not going to like this movie. This movie is one of the greatest things, and I think for years to come, I think just like how the Star Wars prequels were hated for a long time, this, in a couple years from now, is going to be one of like the most celebrated Spider-Man movies. I genuinely believe it, especially with the dumpster fire, in my opinion, of Far From Home. I think that this is like the most heart that Spider-Man had in any of those movies, and I love it. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Are you implying that people actually like the Star Wars prequels?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, people do. My friend Chaz would disagree with you on a lot of your opinions about Revenge of the Sith, but yeah, I won't bring that up today.
That was my favorite one.
Oh, you like that one? Oh, okay.
I think I'm the only person who.
Yeah, you like Attack of the Clones.
I do. I love it.
So anyway,
It's fantastic.
For Fantastic Four 2 Rise of the Silver Surfer, is all I have to say. Like, they had the Silver Surfer able to phase through things. Galactus is a bunch of bees. Like,
They missed the mark on Galactus.
They missed the mark on the whole entire movie. That movie is gone. Now with Amazing Spider-Man 2, I love that movie.
It's
the
great.
only real thing that bothered me about that movie, and that it kind of just, I feel like they overdid it, was they did too much for Dane DeHaan's Green Goblin.
Yep. That is the one thing I hear a lot, and I don't disagree.
Do you mean too much story-wise, or too much
No. Just like too
prosthetic?
Like they tried to like do the Ultimate Green Goblin without making him into a Hulk, which he is in the comics. They tried to like combine the classic costume Green Goblin with a transformation Green Goblin, and I got vibes of a wannabe Joker in there with like I feel like his acting choice was just wrong. Like if they would just how he did it was just not there, and it did bother me how they dealt with Norman.
Yeah,
because jumping straight to Harry as the Green Goblin without having anything with Norman, which I know they're trying to put themselves different from the Tobey movies, and it having that older, almost person, like the person that Peter looked up to as a scientist and everything, and Peter realizing that like that old thing, sometimes you shouldn't meet your idols, and having that to be the bad guy was always something that I really, really liked about that, like comic wise, cartoon, movie wise.
Yeah, but they did that in Amazing Spider-Man 1 though, with Dr. Kirk.
But I'm talking about with Green Goblin.
Oh, with Green
Goblin.
I don't know if you know the plans that they had for Amazing Spider-Man 3. Originally, and it's still in the movie, you can see it for a split second when they're showing Norman dead in bed and being investigated. They wheel in a tray, and it has like a jar on it basically from leaked plans from when Sony got hacked a couple years ago.
Sony hack.
We found out that the original plan for Amazing Spider-Man 3 was that Norman was going to have his head cut off,
Yes.
frozen, and he was still going to be alive. And there is, in the trailer, you can hear lines of Norman talking straight to Peter.
Yep.
And it's originally he was going to be like a cyborg goblin thing. It was
Yes.
going to be an awful movie, in my opinion, so I'm happy they didn't go about those plans.
That sounds weird. I never even heard about that. And
It is very. They were going to
sounds weird.
clone Gwen. It was some insane stuff, but yeah.
So for these two movies, my vote will be for Amazing Spider-Man 2.
And I think we know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's Amazing Spider-Man 2, hands down. The next one that goes with it is going to be a little bit of a harder discussion, but we're still all the way on the outside. So now we got the '89 version, the Dolph Lundgren version of Punisher versus Hulk.
As much as I'm not a fan of Ang Lee's Hulk, I am more not a fan of Punisher 89. Punisher 89 was a stereotypical 80s action movie that they called the Punisher. And if I recall correctly, he never even has the skull on his shirt.
Nothing, yeah. He's
in the sewer on a motorcycle with Louis Gossett Jr. in there.
Yeah.
And you have Drago with dyed black hair, and it's not Punisher at all. And Ang Lee's Hulk, for all the missteps that they made in that movie, they showed us that we could have a CGI Hulk and make it at least a little bit believable. It didn't have to be a Lou Ferrigno type in green makeup. So, and I hate Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah.
Eric Bana was horrible as Bruce Banner. Jennifer Connelly was okay as Betty Brant.
Yeah, I thought she
Nick
was all right.
Nolte as his father / Electro monster, mutated gamma, everything.
Yeah,
the movie just is a dumpster fire. Where the Punisher, I felt like they were like, we should do it, because remember, I don't know if you remember like the old Captain America movies.
Oh, that was terrible.
And
God.
I feel like this was just in the vein of all that.
We could shoot a better movie outside on the sidewalk.
Correct. So
Right,
I'm gonna say
that Captain America movie.
I'm gonna say Hulk, just when you got to pick between garbage and trash, you pick what smells the least bad.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Hulk.
I haven't even seen the old Punisher.
I haven't seen the old Punisher. I know that it's not liked by a lot of people.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say, I have seen Ang Lee's Hulk a couple times. What I will say about that is, mind you, I haven't seen this in over probably 15 years.
Right.
I was probably 4 last time I watched it. I remember vividly a scene when I first saw this on the board. I remembered a scene where Hulk disrupts some family while they're drinking at some outside some restaurant or something, and someone's drinking a Sunny D, and the Sunny D explodes all over the person. Now, here's the thing. I remembered, around last year, I found out that wasn't even in the movie. I remembered a commercial that was a tie-in for Sunny D with that movie.
Oh, dude,
more than the actual movie.
For that movie were stupid.
That's crazy.
I don't even remember anything with Ang Lee.
Yeah.
It was a Sunny D commercial. I remember that more than the actual movie.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I'd still go Hulk over that.
Yeah, I think that as well. The only really good takeaway was the General. I think in that, because he can do no wrong, in my opinion. As an actor, he's perfect. I mean, everyone loves him. So now we're gonna take it down to, we have Ghost Rider
versus X3
versus the X-Men: The Last Stand. Now,
so
The Last Stand was okay. It could have been far better. I mean, it was just another movie, in my opinion, that crapped on Cyclops, which is, if you read the comics, Cyclops is a fantastic. Just give me a second, Joe.
I'm sorting my thoughts.
Cyclops is a fantastic character, especially over the last few years, and James Marsden is a fantastic actor, and they essentially neutered both to put a lot of shine and focus.
Well, that's not actually
on Wolverine.
That's not actually what happened. James Marsters, also in that movie. Martian, whatever. He only had a limited amount of time because he was also in Superman Returns that summer.
Right.
So he only had a very, very small amount of time to fulfill. That's why he was written out so early on in that movie.
Right. But the first two movies.
Oh, they absolutely crap.
Shunned him anyways.
So
why not just get rid of him early?
The trailer for this movie, I remember watching on Apple trailers because it's when Apple was like where you went to go look at the trailers. I must watch this trailer 100 times, and the trailer was the Danger Room shot with the Sentinel, and I was like,
I lost it.
Especially coming after X-Men 2 being what it was, like such a great movie. I'm like, they're doing it. Like they're
gonna do Sentinels.
Like they're doing everything that I've always wanted to see. Like because besides Batman the Animated Series, the X-Men Animated Series is what got me into comics. Speaking of which, X-Men '97. Anybody ever see that announcement?
Oh my God! You have no idea how excited
they're continuing.
Yeah, I haven't seen the 90s
Okay, no, you have to go back and watch. But
go on Disney Plus and watch that. Like, it is one of the best cartoons out.
Yeah, you were. But the thing is, like, here's where like your age comes into play with stuff. Like, you were born in 2000, right? So like this
was already off the air.
Yeah, this was out when we were little. Like, it was the best.
This went off.
Oh no, I'm sure it's great because even when I was growing up, I would go back and watch the old Spider-Man 90s show that ties in with it, and I love that too. So I'm sure I'd love it.
Like it's all on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
and it's
go back and watch it.
It's fantastic,
so good.
And they're literally picking up where the old show left off. And my expectations for this, especially after the last movie and like with the trailer, were like through the roof. And that I remember going to the midnight showing of this. Like there was a huge group of us that went, and I remember coming home and being like, "What the hell did they do?" Like they mixed the mutant cure storyline, which was what was going on in the comics at the time, with a horrible attempt at the Dark Phoenix saga, and then they threw the Brotherhood in there, and it just was this hobgoblin of a mess. And they threw, like, because at the time a very popular YouTube video was a dubbed version of the animated series where the Juggernaut going around going, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch." Mm-hmm. And they, like, threw that in there. And then you had McSteamy from Grey's Anatomy playing Multiple Man. That's who played.
Oh, my gosh, that was him.
He plays Multiple Man in that.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
And it was actually before Grey's Anatomy time.
Yeah.
I'm a Grey's fan. Anyways. So, and they just threw all this stuff together where you have Ghost Rider, which is an okay movie.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage is up everything he does. Actually, even though it's not on here, I actually like Spirit of Vengeance better. But this was a solid origin story. It set everything up. It pretty much stuck to the original Ghost Rider mythos, and like it's a good movie. It's a rewatchable movie,
right? Where
X-Men: The Last Stand has parts that are extremely rewatchable, and it has parts that are extremely cringeworthy,
right?
And they try to throw too many mutants in there. They
CGI Patrick Stewart,
right? Like the killing off of Patrick Stewart, putting him, and which actually plays into, and they kind of like just ignore it a little bit, but play into it in the later movies. And I didn't know I was going to do this, but I'm going Ghost Rider.
Wow.
I'm not surprised by it at all, because you know what? I'm going to go Ghost Rider as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It kind of had the Spider-Man 3 effect a little bit. They tried to do too much.
Yes.
And what I think is crazy is that Foxx had 2 shots at taking on Phoenix and screw them both up.
I concur with that statement.
You know, whereas I feel like if you were like, hey, Kevin Feige, how do you want to handle Phoenix? He'd be like, oh, we're going to do this. And I'd be like,
done.
Do you want a lap dance now or what? Like, I mean, like, because I guarantee you.
Is Dark Phoenix on here?
No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not.
Is Spider-Man 3 not on here?
Absolutely not, Casey.
Why would Spider-Man 3 be on here?
It's terrible, Casey.
Listen, I love emo Peter. Let me dance around in my suit.
it's terrible
Wow.
for literally all of those reasons.
the biggest issue they had with Dark Phoenix, half of that movie was rewritten and reshot because they felt it was going to be like too much like Captain Marvel. So like not all of that was the studio's fault, but they also knew this was going to be the last Fox X-Men movie, and they didn't want to make it too similar because the end of that movie was supposed to take place in space, but instead it took place on a train.
Right.
Unpopular opinion. I like Dark Phoenix.
You would. Anyways.
I do. There's a lot of good acting in that movie. I really
there's a
enjoy
lot
it.
of good acting in it,
Can
but
you
good acting in the
rate
movie
Ghost Rider?
Ghost Rider, yes.
Good acting is different than
A good movie.
now like we've had when you had movies like First Class and you still have those same actors and you're like, okay, well, First Class was amazing, utterly amazing. They're absolutely gonna nail Phoenix at the second take, and then they don't.
All right.
It's terrible. It's terrible because you can. I'm all up for interpretations, okay, but some things still need to be certain thing. And like they missed the mark on both shots for Phoenix. So yeah, no, it's not even on there.
So now we have Deadpool 2 versus X-Men.
All right, Deadpool 2 was awesome. Okay, so
Deadpool 2.
What it's. How do I want to describe it?
You don't have to because it's going on to the next round.
Yeah, it's
like
yeah.
Listen. Deadpool 2 I like better than Deadpool 1.
Deadpool.
okay.
I'm gonna be real.
They introduced characters and they didn't oversaturate it.
Right.
Like the introduction of Cable, and even though it might not have been 100% comic accurate, worked very, very well.
It worked. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Keeping in with Colossus, like keeping in everything that was established in the first movie and moving forward with it worked very, very well. Like, and just for the end of the movie itself with Ryan Reynolds going back in time and killing the Deadpool version in X-Men Origins Wolverine, killing himself when he's about to pick up Green Lantern, like, and essentially bringing back Vanessa. Like it's a movie that took itself serious, but not super serious.
Yeah.
And the version of Ryan Reynolds as the Juggernaut is so good.
Wait.
He's the Juggernaut.
No way.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
How did I not know this? That makes this movie infinitely better.
He's the
That
Juggernaut.
makes this movie infinitely better.
Ryan Reynolds rips Ryan Reynolds apart in this movie.
That's incredible.
Yes.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like the Deadpool version of Colossus is the version of Colossus that should have been in the X-Men movies.
Yes.
Like, and it's fantastic. Like it's such a good movie. Yeah. And as much as X-Men set the plate, there have been better X-Men movies.
Yep.
Right.
Just like our next one.
Yeah.
Mike even just said it that Deadpool 2 misses the mark on Cable, which it does, but the rest of the movie is still so good with everything else that it's forgivable.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So now we're gonna actually take it down to, hold on, right here we have the first Spider-Man versus Days of Future Past.
Okay, let me talk about Days of Future Past.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Days of the Future Past did something and gave Fox the opportunity to do something that most franchises are not able to do. It gave them a way to keep their mistakes canon, but erase them at the same time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially with Days of the Future Past, you are erasing X-Men Origins Wolverine. You're erasing X-Men The Last Stand. You are erasing X-Men 2, and you're erasing X-Men 1.
Right.
You are literally going back and actually most of X-Men Origins Wolverine. You're erasing the bad parts of X-Men Origins Wolverine,
right.
Essentially. But you are also erasing the Wolverine itself. You are creating a multiverse timeline. And I'm very familiar with the comic storyline Days of Future Past. And this is essentially nothing like it, very much what Marvel does with their movies.
Right.
But the way they took this, and they took this opportunity to do what they did, And I like how the Sentinels were 70s versions of what the Sentinels could be.
Mhm.
I like when Wolverine first goes back and he pops his claws and he's like, oh, shit. Like, we're back to this. Like, and the cast, like, when Wolverine goes to find Professor Xavier and he's like, and Professor Xavier's like, and when we try to recruit you 20 years ago, what did you say to us? And repeats the line that Wolverine said in X-Men First Class. You had the introduction of the Quicksilver scene when they went to get Magneto. Like, everything of this movie hits so well on everything. And you feel very fulfilled.
Right.
And you can't wait for the next installment, and then they let you down.
And it's like, here's this great.
So
I'm not going to crap on the rest of what they did because this was a very good setup.
Oh, 100%.
And it's not this movie's fault that they didn't capitalize further.
Correct. And like you have the ending of this movie, which puts the ending of that original. You have Kelsey Grammer back as Beast. You have Cyclops. You see Jean Grey. You see Patrick. You see that all original cast reunite in a happy place.
Mm-hmm. It's truly like one of the most heartwarming endings.
And
to
back
any of the
to
superhero
Deadpool
movies.
2, I forgot to mention that too. They kind of mirror that in Deadpool 2 when the door opens and you see the First Class cast in the room and they're all like
the door like real silently. Yeah, that was genius, by the way. Like, where is everybody else? They're all there. They just don't want to deal with Deadpool.
Right.
It's so good.
So my vote will be for Days of the Future Past on this.
Days of Future Past is indeed my favorite X-Men movie.
Oh, okay.
It is. It's by far my favorite. I love it. I remember seeing the preview for it at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2 in the credits because for some reason they had a deal where they were going to show that in the after credits. It's great. I love it. Evan Peters is one of my favorite actors. So him coming in to play Quicksilver, and now the chance that he's
might be coming back in the MCU full time. Hopefully, not. I'm hoping they don't just make him a boner joke, but whatever, you know.
But this movie is by far getting my vote.
Okay, that's 3 for Days of Future Past. Also, Days of Future Past in that X-Men cartoon that we were talking about, that series of episodes is quite possibly
I've heard
my favorite arc. One of my favorite arcs that they do in
you're going to have some homework.
Obviously, the Phoenix arc is obviously. Yeah.
Am I going to lose my intern job if I don't watch
that? I want a book report.
Okay, fair enough.
If you watch all of it, you'll be upgraded from the intern, and you can actually
be senior intern.
Senior intern, yes. Okay. And
then you can get your own intern, and you can boss him around.
Oh yeah, I'm down for that.
So now we have Blade 2 versus Spider-Man 2.
We have First Class versus the Wolverine.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I went right over that. The camera was actually in my way a little bit. Okay. So for me, I think First Class was my favorite X-Men movie. Because I didn't expect. I think I went in having zero expectations, having seen everything else that came prior, and I wasn't sure what they were going to do. And I just thought what they did with this movie was utterly fantastic.
See, that's where I agree, because like I had already been burned with X-Men 3 and X-Men Origins Wolverine. So when they announced First Class, and I'm just like, they're rebooting it, whatever. It's probably not going to be that good. Oh, they're getting Kevin Bacon to play Sebastian Shaw. Like,
I know.
This sounds stupid. I was like, obviously I'm going to go see it, but like I'm not. The dude from Wanted is playing Professor X. Like, this just, it sounds dumb. Oh, it's going to take place in the 60s? Great. Like, what? Like, is this what I'm really going to see? Like, is the 60s X-Men? And then I went and saw the movie. And I saw how they handled it. And even though it wasn't the original 5, you had the kid who played Banshee was just awesome.
He's so good.
Using Havoc instead of Scott, I thought was great. The creating a history between Mystique and Professor Xavier was, I thought, a brilliant way to like keep the story going. And I love the fact that they didn't make it a love story.
Yeah,
that
no,
they
it was a
made them
brother-sister story.
Yes, and that I really appreciated, and I really liked. And like, even though Kevin Bacon looks absolutely nothing like the comic book version of Sebastian Shaw, he nailed it.
Oh yeah.
And
It's Kevin Bacon.
having Azazel in it, like as the precursor to Nightcrawler, because it's his dad, and like anybody who knows comics is Mystique and Azazel are Nightcrawler's parents, and then you have Nightcrawler in X-Men Apocalypse. Like, so like at one point Mystique and her hooked up, like and like it's awesome. And I like the Wolverine. The Wolverine really brought back the cinematic Wolverine and helped Jackman like get justice for the character again. And like, even you have Jackman's cameo in this, and like these movies actually tie in together very much,
Right.
leading into Days of Future Past. But I would have to go First Class.
I'm going First Class as well, hands down, obviously. But I only do have one gripe with this movie, and it was that Darwin.
They did it wrong.
One just died.
Yeah.
Because if you do you know anything about Darwin in the comics? No. Darwin is like, his body will literally do anything it needs to in order to stay alive. Like at one point, so he's with this like hidden class of like X-Men.
So like, do you know
into space?
So you had the original 5 X-Men, and then you had like the giant size X-Men class, which introduced Wolverine, Banshee, Colossus, Storm, and the original X-Men were captured on this living island called Kuroka, and I think that's how you pronounce it.
I think it's Krakatoa.
Krakatoa. And the giant-size X-Men were sent with Cyclops to rescue them. Well, it was revealed that there was a group that was sent in between, which had the missing Summers brother.
Yeah.
And Darwin was a part of it.
Vulcan was in there.
Yeah, so like there was that, but they all got, they thought, killed.
And like the whole island got sent into space, which is how Vulcan ends up in space. But then Vulcan comes back as like this Omega level mutant. He's so strong because in order to survive, Darwin literally like vaporized and became part of Vulcan, and then.
Well, I thought he became part of the island.
No, he became part of Vulcan. So when Vulcan comes back, and then like,
he starts reforming.
Literally, Darwin like becomes like smoke, and then like comes like out of him.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
He's one of the most powerful humans because he can literally evolve to any situation.
Well, apparently not in First Class.
No, that's why it made me mad, because like, why are you even like? Because they show him like someone goes to hit him, and his back turns to rock.
Yeah,
you know, like his body instantaneously does that, and it's like he couldn't figure out how to like handle some. Extra
and I do agree with that.
It made me mad.
Like the way they dealt
Sorry
with
to go
Emma
off
Frost.
on that tangent there with everything, but
the way they dealt with Emma Frost was perfect in this movie too.
Right.
Yep.
So First Class.
First Class. I would give it to First Class. The only thing I would say that is my one thing stopping it from being one of my favorites of the X-Men movies is I feel like some of the characters are at times they don't do enough.
I agree.
The girl with the wings. She didn't really do much in that plot, and she doesn't do anything for the later movies. The only thing I would
die,
and I guess I would say the actors that are in it are fantastic, great casting for almost all of the characters, but they're great in it. But they do a lot more with their acting skills in the later movies, in my opinion. So it's just like Michael Fassbender. That I know we didn't have it on here in Apocalypse, but his scene where he's watches his family die in Apocalypse is one of the best scenes in any of those movies. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would give it to First Class though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then now we're gonna take it down. Oof.
So Spider-Man 2 versus Blade 2. This doesn't suck because Spider-Man 2 is, minus the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, is my favorite Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man 2.
Fair.
I think the simple plot of Doc Ock in Spider-Man, the fact it isn't this crazy like city-wide spanning thing, it's literally, again, this guy Peter looks up to, and he's not even a true villain in this. Like, he does bad things, but like
he believes he is right.
Right, and he's had this traumatic thing happen to him, and it's Alfred Molina absolutely crushes it as Otto Octavius, and that's something else in the trailer that cracked me up when they're like, "So who are you?" He's like, "I'm Otto Octavius," and they're like,
Yeah, they're just bullying him in this like, jail cell. It's like, what's
seriously,
going on?
that's your name, like, and
But no, really.
but the emotions I felt watching this, like, and it hit on all cylinders. Like, it was truly a Spider-Man story. Like, and like Peter wanted to save him,
Yeah.
and he couldn't. And even after everything he did, his genuineness as a hero and as a good person, like, shone through. And you could just see how desperate, like, Otto was to just survive and do what he felt like he had to do. And it just... it's my out of those first five,
his sacrifice at the end.
Yes, like, and it just
the reveal also to MJ that he is Spider-Man was fantastic. He just turns and she's just standing there looking at him.
It's great.
And it's like,
it's fantastic.
It's like, and with that look, and
it's amazing.
She's
and then she's about to die and he just screams.
The look on her face, it might have actually been like some of the best acting she ever did, because the look that she gave the camera was, of course you're Spider-Man.
Right.
Yeah.
Not like, oh my God, you're Spider-Man. Of course you're Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm actually right there with him. Out of the five, prior to anything that's going on, it's him, and actually probably still to this day, until possibly this movie comes out. We'll wait and see. But it's my favorite Spider-Man movie, period. Spider-Man 2, hands down.
Homecoming's my favorite.
That was one thing I was going to bring up that we didn't have on here. We don't have Into the Spider-Verse, which I think is one of the best
I agree,
Spider-Man movies.
We're doing live action.
Live action only. Okay.
Yeah, well, we decided early on a lot of if we
might eventually do an animated bracket.
A whole animated bracket of different things.
Because you could do a whole bracket with just the DC animated movies.
That's true. That is true.
I actually wrote one out for that, and I was just like, oh God, I love these, and I don't even. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want to do this. There's 3 hours to talk about how amazing all of these are.
All right, so Spider-Man 2, I think.
Yeah, I'm also going to give it to Spider-Man 2.
As much as I love Blade 2, because I really do.
You also, no one ever brings it up. You get a little tiny, I mean, obviously Sam Raimi started off in the horror genre before this. You get a tiny little horror short film almost with the doctors trying to amputate the arms off of Doc Ock.
Oh, and it starts grabbing.
And he starts killing everybody. That's phenomenal stuff.
Yeah.
That's a really good scene.
It's great stuff.
And it's
but
all practical too.
Exactly. I don't know. It's gonna be great.
Spider-Man 2, and because I say it all the time in other stuff, like Spider-Man isn't really like my favorite anywhere, anything, and yet like when I walked out of the theater, I was like, wow, that was so good, so. All right, so now we have
this is hard for me.
Of the original X-Men movies, my favorite, which was X2.
I remember my senior year seeing this in the movie.
Punisher Warzone.
So I talked how good of Punisher movie Warzone is.
Yeah.
And up until the John Brenthal, whatever his name is, Punisher, like Ray Stevenson was my favorite Punisher. But X2, especially for the time, it hit on so many good cylinders. Like, and it addressed so many different. Like, take the scene with Iceman telling his parents. Like, it definitely had parallels of somebody coming out. You know what I mean? And the way his parents treated him.
Oh yeah, have you ever tried not being a mutant? Like that was so. You're right. That was
and then you see that softer side of Wolverine too, like where he's like we're your family, like you're coming with us, and just everything, like dealing with everything with Wolverine's past. Like it definitely set up a lot of stuff going forward with the franchise. A lot of plot points in all the movies, like introducing Stryker, and Stryker was so. Even though Stryker's a different character in the comics, they embodied what he was, like just so upset that his son is a mutant, that he's doing everything and anything he could to stop it, and then when he couldn't, using that son to create a weapon to get rid of mutants, and taking Xavier out of the equation for the X-Men to fend for themselves to try to solve this problem. The opening scene to X2 with Nightcrawler is cinematically one of the best scenes ever. Like him assaulting the White House, the way he assaulted the White House, and just how perfectly choreographed it is. And Wolverine coming into his own from this loner to almost like a leader.
Yeah.
It's so much of this movie, and it's so much later X-Men, like where Wolverine is more of the teacher and the nurturing side of that character.
Right.
And Jean Grey's sacrifice at the end to stop the dam, and
the scene towards the beginning when the guys come into the mansion and he just goes Wolverine berserk.
Oh my God!
Is fantastic,
especially for a PG movie.
Like the guy he pins against the fridge, like that. I mean, that scene was so good.
So it's got to be
because you weren't expecting that level of hack slash in those movies, and then he does it. It was great. I'm going X2.
Yeah,
I would go X2 as well on this one.
Clear and far away. Now might actually be the hardest thing that we do. Maybe, I don't know, depends on you guys.
It's not hard for me.
It's hard for me.
Deadpool against Amazing Spider-Man 2.
So with Amazing Spider-Man 2, it's to me such a good movie. The way they handled everything, like the Rhino, it makes sense how they did the Rhino, even though he was not a major part of it, which was, we kind of got tricked into that with the trailers.
Yeah.
I've already stated my issues with the Goblin. Now, Jamie Foxx as Electro. Even though it's not, Max Dillon is not the character that he is in the comics, Jamie Foxx absolutely crushed it as Electro. I like how they created him, how they set everything up, and I thought he was a very, very good villain for the story. My issue with Andrew Garfield's portrayal, and it remains the same, is I thought his Spider-Man might still be the best version of Spider-Man that we've gotten. And I love Tom Holland. But Tom Holland is the whole package. With Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker, he's way too cool. Like,
see, you say that, and I am going to let you finish your thought on that. The only thing I can say, though, is I think a lot of people, misremember the old comics. Some of the older Spider-Man comics, Spider-Man is not, yes, he starts off as that quiet guy in the corner that's really nice to everybody. But as he, becomes more Spider-Man, and he's obviously wearing the suit a lot more. He's being more outgoing when he's in the suit, obviously, and joking around with the villains.
But a lot of that was when he's in the suit.
He does end up doing that when he's not wearing the suit. When he's just being Peter Parker, he plays tricks. The whole scene with Flash in the first one where he's using the basketball to almost just trick him and things like that. That is very Peter Parker of the old comics. So a lot of people like to say that it's not very comic accurate. I think it is. That's just my opinion.
It's not neo-comic accurate.
Yeah.
It's mid. It's not original. It's not brand new. It's that kind of Silver Age, you would say.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's almost too cool. And
he's super cool. I mean, the way again, now I know we're talking about two, but to go back to the first one where he is dealing with Flash, the way he just tells Flash to stop messing with that dude. Nerds don't talk like that. You know what I mean?
Garrett never said that.
I never talked to a bully like that until I got taller than the bullies. You know what I mean?
There's an old when Stan Lee was still writing Spider-Man. There was an old comic where I think there was a machine or something that was programmed by some robotics guy, and it was programmed to tell who the identity of Spider-Man is.
Probably Alistair Smythe.
Flash argues with Peter and says, well, why don't you, what if you get your name on there or something like that? And they're arguing back and forth, and Peter wants to, like, he's going back and forth with him, and this is like Peter standing up to the bully, and this is one of the first 20 issues of Spider-Man.
Right.
And the issue literally ends almost like a sitcom. They do a boxing match in the school, and Peter knocks out Flash and says, Flash was going easy on me because he's the real Spider-Man. And like stuff like that in the first 20 issues of Spider-Man ever, like that is like, in my opinion, that's what Andrew Garfield's doing in these movies.
What he embodied.
So I don't know.
It's a good point. It's hard to argue.
So as good as Amazing Spider-Man 2 is,
Yeah.
Deadpool. Like, and it took Ryan Reynolds almost 12, 13 years to get this movie made. To the point of Comic-Con weekend, they had an animated, basically what's the beginning 5 minutes of Deadpool. They had an animated mock-up of it. And Fox said, no, we're not doing it. So, and Ryan Reynolds has, years later, admitted that he went on YouTube and released it. And everybody lost their minds. And a week later, Deadpool's greenlit and being made. And anybody who likes these kind of movies, that watches Deadpool and is like, they're absolutely out of their mind, because Deadpool is the perfect Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and it, like, besides, I'd have to say Colossus, really, they really don't, really no-name people. And let's be honest, a lot of people, until that movie, didn't even know who Deadpool was.
Right.
And
one of the side characters is literally named Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Right, who's such
Exactly.
a minor X-Men character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they created this movie that embodied Wade Wilson perfectly.
Yeah.
And it proved that there could be an R-rated comic book movie that just crushes the box office.
Yeah.
And
The fourth wall breaking. I mean, it's just so good.
So Deadpool gets my vote, without a doubt. And I know that's Garrett's vote, too.
You know where I'm going.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, it is Deadpool.
Listen, it doesn't change anything. Everyone watching at home, go watch Amazing Spider-Man 2 before this new movie.
Yeah, no, it's still it's if you've never seen it, you should. It is right in the title. It's amazing. It's a great movie. But yes, Deadpool's going to make. So now we have the first Blade versus Hulk. Do we even have to talk about this?
No, it's Blade.
It's Blade.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's not even get the first
Blade.
Deacon Frost is a fantastic bad guy.
It's the OG comic book movies, really.
Yeah,
like,
it's
without this movie,
everything.
we don't have anything that we have
Yeah,
now.
everything about Blade is so good. So now we have, and then I don't even know if we have to
just
talk
put
about the next
Logan
one.
on.
We don't. Yeah, we don't have to
Logan
talk
versus
about
Ghost
this
Rider.
yet. We can talk about Logan next.
I mean, if you look at Logan as, around like nothing else, like if it's its own solo movie, like it's off the charts good. You know what I mean? What's hard is where it comes into, okay, is it like, where did it tie in here? Where did it tie in there? What did it do here? How exactly far in the future is it? What's going on? Is it a different offshoot from you don't know, and it's a little hard. But if you can just put blinders on and watch the movie, it is utterly fantastic.
So let's get to that when we get to that. Deadpool 2 versus Days of Future Past.
This is for me the toughest one right now.
To me, Days of the Future Past just edges out Deadpool 2.
You know what? I'm going to go with him, so you don't even have to.
I will. I would probably ended up agreeing with you on that one.
So yeah, Days of Future Past. But just barely edging out Deadpool 2.
And on the flip side of that, for me, Amazing Spider-Man 2 just edges out First Class.
You mean Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, not Amazing Spider-man 2 edges out First Class.
Yes.
First Class.
You know what? I'm gonna go with that.
All right.
As well. I know we talk. These last few rounds kind of go fast since we've already spoken about.
Well, we didn't really speak about Blade and Logan, so I know
we'll get to
that's gonna get to it. Yeah.
And to me, as much as I love X2,
no, Deadpool.
Deadpool is better. I agree.
Deadpool edges that out.
I agree.
Hands down. Deadpool hands down over X2.
So that brings us to Blade and Logan. Now,
okay. So again, I just said a lot about Logan.
I have a lot more to say about Logan.
I'm sure you do. That's fine. Blade, again, just everything with Deacon Frost, the way like just a regular turned vampire was actually taking on the ranks in his own, in all the vampire hierarchy. Meanwhile, Blade is doing his thing. They're going after Blade. They're going after their own guys, like a hostile takeover. I love the original Blade. I really do. I actually just rewatched it not that long ago. I think on HBO Max.
So
it's
maybe.
Was it on HBO Max or something else?
Might be.
But I just rewatched it and I was like, oh man, I love
the thing with the original Blade. Actually, the original Blade saved Marvel Comics at the time.
It did.
Financially, it saved them. And a lot of people, even to this day, don't even realize Blade's a comic book character. Blade actually debuted in a Spider-Man comic.
Right.
Yep.
And completely different version than the version we have now, mind you. He was British. He had a real flurry shirt, and wore green and but Wesley Snipes' interpretation of him, one, redefined the character.
Yes.
It saved Marvel.
Yes.
And it set up. X-Men followed suit. Fantastic Four followed suit. And without these movies, we don't have the MCU. We don't have what we have today.
Absolutely.
And even if Blade wasn't a comic book character, it would be such a cool concept for vampires and everything. That the vampires have these secret gangs and cliques and everything else, and Blade is basically the Punisher of the vampire world. And it's awesome. But Logan, and it does tie in all the X-Men stuff. Especially after Days of the Future Past, and it is that swan song. It is that, they allude to that in this, even though, because it's kind of based on the fact of the Old Man Logan comic book series, where all the X-Men are dead and Logan's the only person alive. They kind of took that concept, did their own thing with it, where having Xavier suffering from Alzheimer's has this psychic outlash and kills all the rest of the X-Men. And Wolverine is left being Xavier's caregiver. And now you have this version of the Reavers hunting him down. And Wolverine is doing everything he can to protect Xavier, and in turn finding out that he has a clone/daughter. Something he's never... he's been a parental figure for the X-Men, and they're all dead.
Yeah,
right.
But he has
link to this genetic link to this world. And they're trying to tell him this comic that's based on his old exploits is going to save them. And he's basically a man on the run, a man with nothing, no resources. It's a Western mixed with an action. And the Wolverine scenes in this are so perfect Wolverine scenes. And then they actually basically introduce the Albert version,
essentially, yeah,
with the younger version of Wolverine, the robot version of Wolverine, and just Xavier's death scene, and then his own death scene, and then when she fixes the cross and makes the X, to allusions to the Outback storyline when Wolverine's crucified by the Reavers in the 90s. He's put on an X cross, and that's where Jubilee meets him and finds him. These allusions to everything that comes before. And like you said, even if it was a standalone movie, it would be this thing. And how is not it's Logan for me. There's no doubt in my mind it's Logan because it's such a great movie. And then, have you seen the black and white version?
I haven't actually watched it.
It just makes it that much. It makes you feel like it's an old Western. It just. Oh, Logan.
I do want to watch the black and white version.
Logan.
I wasn't going to say it until we got to the end portion of this. Logan, in my opinion, as much as I am an Amazing Spider-Man 2 fan, I feel it is the most well-made film on this board.
Yes.
It's obviously getting my vote. The scene that wins that movie for me is the whole... I mean, two key scenes when Professor X is opening up to Logan about how he remembers everything that he did in bed, and he's like, I haven't had a night like this in a very long time, and then it's revealed that it was the clone of Logan the whole time, and he kills him. Fantastic scene. And then the scene where Logan buries Professor X, and he's like, well, he's got water, and he starts getting choked up. I've never cried like that in a theater. Well, besides when Gwen dies in Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is a movie you should all go check out. But that
spoiler alert.
That is by far one of the greatest comic book scenes I've ever seen in a comic book movie, I should say, and therefore it's getting my vote as well.
All right. So you don't have to vote, Garrett.
I don't have to vote.
You don't gotta vote.
I would have gone. I have a much more.
What?
Yeah, I have a much more deeper connection to Blade as a movie.
That's crazy.
I think a lot of what happened before Logan had an impact on how I felt about it.
Okay.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like I agreed with everything you said, but like my personal like I just feel like I don't know, it's Blade. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's why there's two of us.
So we
that's why there's three of us.
We have Days of the Future Past for Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2.
Days of the Future Past.
Really?
Oh,
really? Then
no.
Spider-Man 2?
See, now I have to pick, and this is the tough part because I have to pick between in my opinion, the best X-Men movie versus my favorite hero, Spider-Man.
But not your favorite Spider-Man movie.
Not my favorite Spider-Man movie. It's probably
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
It's top. Well, yeah, it's top 3 though. It's top 3 for me. I'd say. Oh God. I can't believe I'm going to do this. I can't.
No.
I can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm gonna have to give it to Days of Future Past.
Oh.
I have to. Oh. It's so good. It's so good.
All right, just circle Days of Future Past. Damn it.
Wow.
All
yeah,
right,
I can't believe I did that.
Where are we going with Logan and Deadpool, though?
Logan for me.
Logan.
All right.
Wow.
All right, so now we got Logan versus Days of Future Past to win Marvel non-MCU.
I'm just going to say, snicked.
I don't know. This is tough. I'm gonna give it to Days of Future Past.
You're going Logan still?
Yeah.
Shit. Somebody sell me here.
All right, so with Days of Future Past, it's a great ensemble film. It definitely it starts to erase some of the issues that we had in the prior stuff and everything. And it's a great movie. It's a very rewatchable movie. It does, besides that very ending scene where you're like, oh, they end up having a good future. Logan shows you what happens after that good portion of time. And it shows you not everything always works out. People die.
Everyone's going to die anyways. You know
Everyone's going to die anyways. And you know what?
Looking at it singularly, like I said with the blinders on, Logan's the better movie.
Wow. Wow.
Logan. So Logan wins Best Marvel Non-MCU
That is
movie.
crazy.
That's crazy. All right. Well, I'm not sure what we're going to have here in 2 weeks. We'll discuss it.
We'll figure it out.
within the next 2 weeks here.
Top 10 reasons why Amazing Spider-Man 2 is amazing.
If you want to shoot that video, we'll put it on the
Yeah.
we'll put it on the Facebook page, Casey.
And then actually next week, I'm not available Wednesday, so we're actually going to be doing
Wrestle Fandom
on Tuesday. Okay, So same time at noon. So everyone join us then Tuesday next week for Wrestle Fandom Radio. We're gonna even put it on the page, remind everybody. But before we go, I'd actually like to have a conversation with you about a couple quick things here.
What's up, buddy?
It's how do I want to get into it here? Well, I think it's time to end the entire charade of everything that's been going on.
What do you mean charade?
Well, okay, so listen. When I took the belt from Z, Okay, and then that quick turn.
When I helped you. Take
Right.
the belt.
That quick turn you got on me, which was genius, by the way. Clap to you. I'm going to give it to you. It was a good turn.
The champ does what the champ does, baby.
It got a lot of views, a lot of things lately. They got a lot of views, and you know what?
I bring everybody to the show.
It was good for the brand. I can't even deny it. It was good.
What's best for business, Garrett?
What's best for business until you started messing with the business, Joe?
What do you mean?
Okay,
just protecting what's mine, buddy.
The excessive coming at me a little bit about this whole stupid hacker, whoever this person is.
Well, if you stop doing it, I wouldn't have to.
Me. Okay, but you're always coming at me with it. That was one thing, but then you hit a sponsor with a kendo stick.
He got in the way.
Okay, and then you started a fight live on air with a wrestler. A dangerous wrestler who's part of like the most dangerous faction that's in ICW.
Yeah, okay? Rick Recon will smoke him any day.
Okay, like it's.
And if anything, he interjected in a conversation I was having with you.
Okay.
He overstepped his bounds, and if he wants to come get it, he can come get it.
Okay. Regardless, okay, I'm just saying that essentially I'm done letting it happen.
What do you mean letting it happen? I've opened the can of whoop ass on you here plenty of times. I'll do it again. If I need to send more people to your house, I'll send more people to your house.
What's good for business, okay, is good for business. See, like you bring the ratings, okay?
Yeah,
and I'm not going to deny that. It's fantastic.
40,000 views on TikTok, baby.
Exactly, 40,000 views. But that's why it's time. That's why it's time to turn this, okay? See, you're the ratings, right? But I'm the business. Okay, I bring in all the money to this show. You know who else likes money?
Who?
Your boys, Des and Troy. Okay, because the day after they were here with you, I went and found them and talked to them, and now they're on my payroll.
How do you figure? They just at your house a week ago, putting you in a garbage can.
Were they?
But yeah, you're in a neck brace.
Were they really? Give him a call, see what happens.
Voicemail? He never sends me a voicemail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's because they're my guys. They called. You think they didn't call me? They're like, "Hey, Joe wants us to do this."
Okay,
perfect.
But who's on my side? Z's on my side.
You think Z?
He runs this place.
Oh, okay, that may be true, but you know what? He had to take off, and he actually
Z, come out here.
No. He had to take off real quick, but you know what? He sent this little video for me. Hold on one second.
Hey, champ. It's me, Z. If you really think I was gonna choose you over Garrett, I've got another thing coming. Enjoy that title run.
What the heck is this? What are you doing, dude?
What this is I killed your entire D squad without lifting a finger.
Where's my?
Nothing happens unless I want it to. Oh, your stick? Don't worry, I got it over here. Yeah, this is my show. Okay, my show.
I'm the champ.
Not for long.
So you've been doing this the whole time?
Yep.
You've just been turning everyone against me?
You know it.
Why? Why? What's the point? We're supposed to be doing this together. We're supposed to be friends.
Oh, now it's together. Now we're friends. Yeah, I see how it is, right? Right? When it's turned on you, now it's different.
Turn on me, dude. I revitalized this show. I'm the whole reason anybody comes to this show anymore.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No. I'm taking the belt back, and that's the end of the story.
You're not taking anything back. This isn't a sanctioned fight. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. See ya.
None of these fights are ever sanctioned.
Oh my, what are you guys doing?
Think you can come onto my show, and act like that? I only let things happen until they suit my needs, Joe. Mine.
Your needs?
Yeah.
I'm the champ!
Oh my, Garrett, what are you doing?
I'm taking the belt back today, Casey. That's what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. Get up again, I dare you.
It's my belt!
Get a close-up on this camera, man. Watch this, watch this. Ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3. I am the champ. This is my show. I'm the mastermind. Where's my belt? The champ. Like I frickin' should be.